Hey everybody, this is Chad. Thank you for being patient with the weather. This is going to be an advanced video for theory. I'm going to talk about some things that are pretty modal, so if you're not into the advanced theory, this is probably a video that you'd either want to bypass or maybe even use for some inspiration. So here we go. We're going to talk about using modes as an improvisational tool. A lot of people understand that modes are used as like they think it's a scale or this mystical thing, but a mode is actually a chord progression. And my example for that is like if you wanted to play something in the key of, let's say, G, okay? So in the key of G, the chords are G, A minor, B minor, C major, D major, E minor, and F sharp diminished. Now that's as triads only. We haven't moved into the seventh chords. If you're using the seventh chords, that'd be G major 7, A minor 7, B minor 7, C major 7, D dominant 7, E minor 7, and F sharp minor 7 flat 5, or F sharp half diminished 7. So say for instance I was playing some chords at random, like if I strummed D, C, and then G on the guitar. A lot of people think that that progression is in the key of D, but it's really not. That's actually in the key of G, because those chords are unique and they follow that pattern of the key of G. So if you look at that and try to examine that modally, it actually would be called D mixolydian. And what that means is you're playing chords in the key of G, but you're starting with D instead of G. So the modes are this. The first one is Ionian. The second one is Dorian. The third one is Phrygian. The fourth one is Lydian. The fifth one is Mixolydian. And the sixth one is Aeolian. The seventh one is Locrian. Now each of those just represents a number, 1 through 7. So a mode essentially could be a whole bunch of chords or just a few. There's some generic modal progressions such as Ionian is a 1-4-5, Dorian's a 2-5, Phrygian's a 3-4, Lydian's a 4-5, Mixolydian's a 5-4-1, Aeolian is a 6-5-4, and Locrian is a 7-1. And those are generic, and you can deviate from those a little bit, or you can actually just use those particular chord progressions I gave you, or sometimes, like for instance, you might hear Ionian be a 1-4-5-6 and then back to 1, but the mode means that it circles back to the chord that you're talking about. So like if you say it's an Ionian mode, that means your chord progression could be 1-4-5-6, 2-1. Just as long as it comes back to 1 and it circles around that chord, it's going to produce the Ionian mode. So if you want to solo over these, that's where you have to use the diatonic patterns. So you don't use penta because the penta is missing the 4th and the 7th tone out of the scale, so they're missing some of the notes. The diatonics are specifically 7 notes. Now, I know we have 5 diatonic patterns according to the Cage system, but when you use those in conjunction with the mode, each of them starts on a different degree on the 6th string. For instance, form 1, the first note of form 1 is the Phrygian note. And then the second note of form 1 is the Lydian note. Form 2, its first note is Mixolydian. And then form 3, its first note is Aeolian. Form 4, the very first note is Locrian, and the second note is Ionian. And form 5 is Dorian. Now I know that doesn't follow the modes I just explained in order, but that's because the 6th string is just off of a chromatic scale, and that's how they work conveniently. Now you can play all 7 modes in one of the scales, any one of them. You could play all 7 in form 3, but each one of those ones that I just listed is convenient for soloing per mode due to the fact that it's the way the degrees are set up on each string and where they start. Now it's an option. You can choose where you want to do it. That's the most traditional way. There's a couple ways to go through this, and we'll have to talk about those in your lessons as far as using them. But here's what I want you to understand about this video. There's more to lead guitar than just finding a pentatonic scale and playing fast. I know that on one of the videos I'm demonstrating this evening, I'm showing you how to play fast through pentatonics. But this is like thinking about musical sentences and trying to think about the chord progression as a lead guitar player as opposed to just, oh, look, blues 1-4-5, here we go, minor pentatonic. You know, that's classic, everybody does that. But if you want to stand out a little bit, you can use modes as a different setup for your tonics. So anyway, some practice things you can do. Take some chord progressions like E minor and A major and strum those two over and over if you have a loop station or way to record yourself, and solo over that. Here's the thing, that progression is actually in the key of D major. So that means it's an E Dorian progression, which means E is the second tonic of the key, and so we call the mode E Dorian. We don't say D Dorian because that would infer that D is the 2. So the first thing you do to describe the mode is the actual tonic name and then the mode. The tonic name is telling you what degree it is, not what key it is. So E Dorian is the key of D. And if you were to play over that, you could play form 5 diatonic starting on the 12th fret. And so that would give you form 5 on there. That's like 12, 14, 15, and then down to form 5 from there. And that would produce a Dorian sound over your solo there. You can do it a lot of different ways, a lot of different things to practice. So take any key, the key of G, key of D, whatever, write it out, pick a chord progression out of the ones I gave you, and then try to solo over it using the scale degrees I gave you. If this confuses you and you're totally at a loss, that's okay. You can talk about this with me or with Lauren in your lesson, and we'll go over that with you a little bit more on how to use these. However, I do want you to be aware, like I said, this is more of an expert idea, and it's very tough, and it's something that takes years to get good at. So if you need any help, contact us, and we will talk about it in our lessons next week. Otherwise, enjoy the video and enjoy your snow day. Thanks again.